Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video, which is a review of Aeroplane Heaven's Spitfire module for Flight Simulator 2020. Yes, another Spitfire. This one is rather fantastic. Okay, so I'm parked up at Goodwood Airport. I believe they have a Spitfire Academy there in the south of England, southeast of England. And I think I'm at ramp 29. Now, a couple of things that I want to mention about this module before I start. This is PC only at the moment, so you can only get it on PC. You can get it from various places. I got it from Orbix Central. And if you don't know about Orbix Central, it's basically Orbix products, but they will install it directly into Flight Simulator for you. So go and look up Orbix Central. I'll actually link it in the description below, and you can get this module from there and from other places. I'll also link the main website of Aeroplane Heaven and the Spitfire, and if you're in certain places you can buy it directly from there. It cost me just over £30, so it's on the cusp of being a little bit more expensive than the average module that you buy. I typically pay between £20 and £25 for an aircraft or scenery, depends, well, typically aircraft module for Flight Simulator. This one is £30, so it's a little bit more, but I believe it's worth the money, and I'll talk more about that in this review. I'll also be referencing Flying Iron Spitfire. I don't want to compare the two because they're different aircraft. This is the Mark 1, pretty much the original Spitfire, and Flying Iron Spitfire I believe was the Mark 9, so it's a more recent model. But where necessary and where appropriate, I'll reference both in this video. Anyway, first thing we'll do, we'll take a tour of the outside of the aircraft, the external modelling. So what becomes immediately apparent when you're in the external mode is the love and care they've put into this module. Now, it's like I mentioned before, it's a little bit more expensive than perhaps your average price module for Flight Simulator, but you can see where the money's been spent here and where the love and care and attention has gone. There's an option, you can see the sort of wear and tear on the wings there where the pilot gets in and out. Lovely, lovely. This becomes very apparent when you're in the cockpit as well, and I'll come to that later. There's an option to remove the engine cover, or the engine, so you can see inside the actual engine. The Rolls-Royce in all its grime, dirt and glory. And they've got a back panel there that's been removed as well, so you can see the sort of electronics in there as well. Absolutely fantastic. Let's come round the front here, and let's take a look at that propeller as well. You can see the sort of wear and tear on the propeller and the grime and dirt. This looks like it's been used a few times, perhaps like it's been in a few battles, which is incredible, really. You can take a look at the undercarriage there as well. Very nicely modelled. Again, you've got all the dirt and grime and goodness knows what. Very, very nice. And you've got the dirt on the underside of the aircraft. Let's get down a bit more, get into this part. Oh, not too far. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant amount of detail there. Lovely, lovely. And like I said, it really becomes apparent. There you go, you can see the other side. Let's come up a bit. So there is an option in the cockpit to remove these covers so you can see inside them, which is a nice touch. I've not seen this on other Spitfire modules. The texturing and wear and tear on these wings is beautiful. Absolutely lovely. All around the aircraft. Absolutely in love with the external modelling. Now there's a number of liveries. Let's just get to the front of the aircraft. I'll put that on screen for you now. A number of liveries. And they're all pretty much based on the sort of World War II era Spitfire, which suits me. It's always the one I'll choose. So there's not a great variety. There's a few you can choose from, but not a massive variety of the actual liveries of the Spitfire itself. But it's all based around that World War II era on purpose, and that just suits me fine. So yeah, lovely modelling externally. Tell you what we'll do, we'll now jump into the cockpit and do a little bit of a tour of the cockpit. So in the Spitfire cockpit, Aeroplane Heaven Spitfire cockpit, yeah, looks authentic. Nice texturing throughout, I think, personally. Looks like a good Spitfire cockpit, what I'd expect, plenty of dials. All very modern, all very sort of authentic, old looking, very interactive. The primer there, for example, I'll be showing you this later. I'll be going through a manual startup later just to show you how, or one way you can start this up at least. And I followed the instructions that came with it. And, you know, all very interactive. You can play with buttons. There's a gun sight reticle there. Obviously, you don't have guns in Flight Simulator, so I can turn that off. All very nice. It looks like an old Spitfire cockpit. Look, as you look over the wings there, you can still see the scratches and wear and tear. This becomes very apparent and very immersive in flight, as I'll show you later on. All very nice. I mean, look at that. Lovely. It all looks very nice. No complaints about the way the cockpit looks. I've seen other videos where they say some noises are missing. They may have fixed this recently. Let's just show you the canopy opening here. I've got it closed at the moment. Yep. All the various associated noises are there. Let's open the door. No problem at all there. What's this guy doing? He's inspecting my Spitfire jealously, is my thought. All very nice. Now, in some aircraft, if I can't be bothered going through the startup procedure, I'll press Control and E. Let's show you what happens here. So I press Control and E. You can hear the Spitfire is struggling to start up. It's not configured to start up. So in this case, if you press Control and E, it's not going to work. But there is an option. There's a little lever down here, quick start switch. You can left click that. It will now configure, turn everything on necessary to start. Now if I press Control and E, it all starts up and you can hear that beautiful Merlin engine. But I don't want to start it that way. I want to go through a manual startup, so let's go and do that. Okay, so I'm back to a cold and dark state of the Spitfire. Let me just show you one way you can start this up. I've just been following the instructions that came with the module. So I'll turn that gun sight reticle off because I don't have guns in Flight Simulator. And there's no point having it on. I've turned on the nav lights and alternator there. So that's on. Turn on the fuel tanks here, put the switches up. Magnetos, turn them on. There's a magneto switch here as well. I've found that I've had to put this idle cutoff. I've had to left click that to start it up properly. So that's turned on. I'm going to put my propeller. Zoom in a bit. Propeller there. Oops, not the throttle, propeller. Full RPM on the propeller. Throttle at cutoff and mixture at rich, which it is there by default, I believe. I'm going to prime the engine. So I'm going to mouse down. I'm quite a newbie to this module. It took me just a matter of moments to start this up. I'm going to prime that 5 times, why not? It says 4 times in the manual, but I'll do 1 for luck. Remove the starter cover, and press engine start, left click. There you go, hey presto, no problem at all there. Now, while I've got it started up, let me shut up yabbering and let you listen to some of these amazing engine sounds. Okay, so let's take this beautiful aircraft up for a ride. Before I do, here's the button to remove the engine cover. So I believe it's not removed at the moment. So if I press that button there, left click, remove engine cover, go outside, you can see it's now removed, press it again, left click, it's now back on. There's one thing. Another thing I want to do is set live weather for this. Let's just set it to live. There you go, a bit cloudy, a bit foggy, beautiful. Oh, maybe not. Okay, I thought it was going to be a bit foggy, it's not. It's actually very similar to clear skies in Goodwood at the moment, nearby where I live, and it's quite accurate. Another thing I want to do is put on my VFR map. Typically, you probably have charts in the Spitfire anyway. There's a reason I'm doing this. I'm going to go for a fly, and I'm going to aim towards this point here to land at EGHF. I think it's Leon Solomons or something of that sort. Nice long runway. Perhaps if you're doing this, take off from Goodwood. I'll show you in flight. Head towards this LS marker here and try and land here. It's a nice long runway and good practice for the Spitfire. So we'll be doing that after a couple of manoeuvres. So with all that set, what I'll do is actually increase my throttle here and release the park and brake. And once we get moving, I'm going to null my throttle in the Spitfire. This is fairly straightforward and fairly accessible. For new players, it's not difficult to taxi at all. I hope Aeroplane Heaven don't alter this, because this is very accessible. I'll put a bit more throttle in there. For the newer players, those who are not familiar with the Spitfire, if you want something difficult, go and try the DCS Spitfire. If you want a difficult taxi, perhaps an authentic way. Typically, you would use differential braking for that. Oh, that coach almost smacks into me, stupid coach. What can you do about the AI, hey? Typically, if it's very difficult, you'd be tipping the wings, tipping the nose of the aircraft. If I brake here, no problem, it just brakes and stops. In a more difficult module of the Spitfire, you'll be tipping the nose forward and braking your propeller. So I hope this remains the way it is. It's very accessible. You do have to be a little bit careful when you're taxiing and taking off, and I'll show you that later. But not difficult at all to taxi and manoeuvre this one, and I like that. It's accessible, and I hope it remains that way. Here's the runway coming up on our right. So I'll just taxi on round. You can see I've got the taxi ribbon on. Why not? Why not? I know this airport, but I left it on just to show you. Whatever your level in Flight Simulator, you can get hold of this and play this fine. It's not difficult at all. Well, not very difficult, should we say. So I'll come round on this runway here. This grass runway. Gonna leave the canopy open so we're up in the air. Level up on this runway. Throttle up a little bit to get some forward momentum. Try and get centre line, just brake there. And we're in a simulator. We can go outside to see how we're done. Yep, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So what I'll do now, one other thing I'll show you before I take off. And this is a big no-no for me, but if you want it, it's there. If you press this here, modern panel switch, it's about there where that white marker is. You can get a GPS, a Garmin in the Spitfire. Who knows, maybe people have outfitted their Spitfires with Garmin. I don't like that, so I'm going to turn it off. But I guess it's a nice option to have if you want to go cross-country in a Spitfire. Anyway, what I'll do there, I'll go flaps 1. And yes, I shall raise my flaps in flight this time, don't worry. So flaps 1, flaps well, there's only one stage of flaps in the Spitfire, so flaps are down. Let's throttle up and go for a nice fly. Hopefully. So the nose will come down as you throttle up. As I'm taxiing on a runway, when you're taxiing the Spitfire, remember when you taxi left or right, center your rudder pedals. So if you move your rudders left or right, just remember to center them, or you'll keep carrying on in the left or right direction. Okay, up to a nice speed here. That should do fine. I'm going to raise my flaps straight away. Oops. Wobbly there and take up. Raise my flaps straight away. It'll just help me keep that upward momentum. Get outside and raise our landing gear. Let you see that go in the body of the aircraft. Absolutely lovely. So we're up in the air with no issues at all there. Just trim up so I'm in level flight. That's about right. And now I can close the canopy. Just left click on the canopy icon there. Canopy's closed. And look, when you look out over the wings, for myself I get a bit of vertigo in this module. It feels like I'm actually in the scale of it. And the wear and tear, which is what I mentioned before on those wings, I actually end up getting a little bit of vertigo looking out over the wings there. Oh, we got low cloud, lovely. Lovely, lovely. The noise, the engine noise, in combination with the scale and the detail they put on those wings and the external modelling and even internally, it just feels great. Feels like I'm in the Spitfire. For me, it's money well spent on this module. Lovely to fly. Let's do a couple of manoeuvres. We're heading towards that LS marker anyway. But let's do a barrel roll. Let's do a barrel roll. No problem. I'm gonna have to come back on my throttle when I do that. Probably wasn't the best manoeuvre. Just to keep the engine nice and happy. But no issues. Very manoeuvrable. Let's do a 360 turn. Which is what the Spitfire's famed for, really. It could turn on a dime. No issues at all there whatsoever. As you can see, it turns nicely as you would expect from a Spitfire. Lovely handling. It's just that feeling, just even using the hat switch here. If you've got VR or tracker, I've got the D-line clip. I'm not using it because maybe a lot of people don't have it. So I'm just showing you, just simply with the hat switch, you still get that feeling that you're in a Spitfire, and that's worth every single penny to me. I'm absolutely loving this. I'll be using this module quite often now I have it. Lovely feeling. I do get the sense of a little bit of verticalness there, a little bit of vertical feeling. As I'm looking over the wings, oh yeah, makes you feel a little bit dizzy. Lovely. You can't put a price on that, absolutely not. So it behaves and handles lovely. Obviously flying over the flight simulator scenery adds to the immersion. Really got to try this in VR. Watch for a video on that maybe. This will be absolutely incredible in VR. I've not done much VR flying in Flight Simulator. And I've got a VR headset sitting in the corner, gathering dust there. So I shall certainly be trying that in the future. Just lovely. Really authentic feeling as you're looking over those wings. Absolutely lovely. We're coming up to this LS marker. And the runway is just beyond that. So I'll carry on there. Let's go to the external model. Or outside rather. Lovely engine sounds as well. It all adds together, and the detailing of it, the detail of it, the engine sounds, the scale of it as well when you're in the cockpit and looking over those wings. It's lovely. Absolutely recommend this, and I'm absolutely enjoying it. Hopefully this will appear on the Xbox consoles as well, rather. Hopefully. Aeroplane Heaven is quite a well-known and renowned company for creating aircraft modules for flight simulators. So hopefully this will appear in, I've got hopes that it will appear in Flight Simulator on the Xbox. Really hope it does. There's the airport ahead of us anyway. Let's show you how relatively easy, depending on which runway and airport, there's the airport rather, to our right. I'll start throttling back so I can get into flaps 1 speed. Put my flaps down. So flaps are now deployed. Gonna have to watch the nose of the aircraft will want to come down. I'll go to the external mode and deploy my landing gears. As you can see, my flaps and landing gear are now deployed. And I'll aim for this nice long runway. Shouldn't have any trouble landing at this specific runway rather. Let's keep my speed up a little bit there, obviously with flaps and landing gear down. I'm slowing down quite a bit. No issues. I do have a button set up, and it's up to you if you want to do this. I've got a button set up on my HOTAS. Actually, now we're at that speed, let's first open the canopy, otherwise I'm sticking my head out the window. As you would do normally in a Spitfire here. Just trim up a little bit there. Give it a little bit low. Got a button set up where I can stick my head out the window if I need to. Oops, I don't actually need to in this. For this runway, it's nice and long. Well, recommend go and try this runway as a practice run if you buy this module, as it's quite easy to land at in the Spitfire. May not be doing this by the book, I'm just showing you how relatively easy it is to fly and what fun it is to fly and land this module. Hopefully. So I'll just aim for that point of interest, for the runway point of interest in this case. As you can see, nice, wide, long runway. Shouldn't have any trouble landing here. Famous last words, but I should be okay here. Lovely, even coming in that, love that detail and texturing on the wings. Absolutely makes it for me, this module. And the sound to go along with it. Turn the sound up and enjoy yourself. There you go, I'm over the runway. I'll throttle back and just let the aircraft gently land. And just control it with a little bit of rudder. Remember to centre your rudder. The nose of the aircraft will want to come up, of course, once you've landed. And there we go. Maybe not perfect, but we're down. I'll stick the parking brake on, get outside. So there's my review for Aeroplane Heaven's Spitfire. Let me know your thoughts on this. I think it's worth the money. £30, yeah, I'm glad I've got it. It's as good to me almost as the DCS version of the Spitfire. That's a little bit more authentic, a lot more difficult to get up and fly and land. You've got to put a lot more work in for that one. Took me a matter of an hour or two to get used to this and to get used to landing it. Very accessible, well worth it. A big thumbs up from me, something I'll be using often. Let me know your thoughts, give the video a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe for more, many more Flight Simulator videos on the way, and I'll see you soon.